Hey everyone, it looks like I'm live. It's Jodi Aman here. Welcome to Mind Journal. Sorry I'm late. It's 10:20, but I'm here. We're talking about what is higher consciousness? How do you understand it? How do you think about it? How do you get there? We have so many questions because it's a really esoteric thing. A lot of like spiritual leaders are talking about higher consciousness, and it makes us wonder, like, is that just kind of woo woo? What is it? So I'm going to talk about it more from a practical sense, because I feel like if we got like practicality, I feel like we could like grasp it more. Our mind could grasp it. I think when we get practical, the fear that holds us back from like embracing some new idea or something that could really help us heal, I feel like when we get practical, we could get rid of that fear, because it feels like, oh, I got this. Or it just doesn't feel like unaccessible. It feels accessible to you. So that is what we're going to do. When we're talking about higher consciousness today, we're going to make it accessible to you. So I'm so glad that you're here. Say hello if you're here. Hold on. Put that on. All right. Yeah, there's my Facebook channel in the comments there, and my YouTube channel, my Instagram. Thank you so much, Mind Journal, for sharing that. So we're talking about high consciousness. Sometimes it's good to understand that there is different levels, right? So you have to know what it isn't in order to really understand and grok what it is. And so when we talk about lower consciousness, we're really talking about how this kind of the state of survival mode, or that reptilian brain where it's like things in life are happening to you. That sense that things in life are happening to you. Sorry, I'm reading a comment here. So if you feel like life is happening to you, that's like kind of a regular human feeling. And developmentally, like we go through that part of, hi Sandra, we go through that part of our life when we're feeling like things are happening to us. And we're kind of trying to make sense of those things are happening to us. We're trying to make sense of them. We're trying to kind of deal with them. We're trying to wonder why, all of that. Those are kind of lower consciousness. That's regular, that's typical human. But if you think about it, so that and a lot of that's like there's like biological memory. So I'm going to talk about it from my Russell Mears is a memory theorist. So he talks about memory. He talks about 7 stages of memory. And so as you're a kid, you're remembering shapes and those kind of things. And when you're an adult, like the latest memories, one's biological memory. Like I ate this for lunch and I did this and everything. And then the last memory, Russell Mears calls it stream of consciousness. But really it's when we're able to be a witness of ourselves. So we live our life, right? Like we're inside our life, living our life all the time. And that's like lower medium consciousness. Like we're trying to grok it. We're in our head a lot, trying to figure it out. We're kind of the center of our own universe in that sense, right? Everything is from our perspective, and that is how it is. But if you wanted to expand our consciousness, you want to go to higher consciousness, the first step there is to be a witness of the self. So if you were, like right now, let's sit here, as we sit here right now, I could sit here and be like, okay, here's me doing a Facebook Live, and I'm smiling at the computer screen, right? I can't see all of you out there. I'm observing myself. It's almost like I can narrate myself. There's not a attachment to it in that state. You're completely just observing. You're in a witnessing state. And in that witnessing state, we come out of our reptilian mind. It actually, when we're in that state, it actually calms our nervous system. Our nervous system resets back. So like if I'm a therapist, so I've been a therapist for a really long time. If you didn't catch me in the beginning, my name's Jodi Aman. Been a psychotherapist for a really long time. My website's right here, jodiaman.com. I've a lot of videos and blogs about how to let go fear and um, embrace the you that you really want to be and live happier. So if you were, I lost track. I'm so sorry. So if you were, I was trying so hard to get this technology to work. So I'm a little, I'm not my normal presentation. This is not my normal presentation, but I love you all. I'm so glad that you're here. And I hope this is going to come out in a way that really serves you today. So when I'm with people and they're getting upset, because they're thinking about something, I'm a therapist, right? So they're talking about some difficulty in their life. I often invite them into this stream of consciousness. I invite them into this witnessing state by asking questions like, so, what do you think about thinking that? Like we're talking about it, right? I'm giving them a little bit of distance from the chaos of the event and the chaos of the emotions of the event to observe themselves. And immediately their self starts to calm down. This is because they're coming and pulling them into a metacognition or a higher consciousness where it's like above the battlefield, if you think about it. Or if you're up a hill and looking at the scene from below, like your life and all the players doing their thing, you're above there observing, and you are out of the chaos of the emotions, and you actually get more perspectives. Like you could understand what other people are thinking. You could understand what you're doing. You could have a lot of compassion for that place. So when you're in that state of higher consciousness in this observing role, you actually have more compassion for yourself and for others. You feel expanded and connected. You don't feel like such a victim at all. You don't take things as personally when you're in that state. So this is what we're trying to do. So this is why people like meditate and they go on retreats or they go out into nature. They're trying to get that sense of higher consciousness because we're not being run by our nervous system in that state. So if we're in that state of this open expandedness, we're really in a state of more beloved love, appreciation, gratitude. We're in a space of being held. Now, when people are in that, when we're in like our regular, typical lower consciousness, like regular human ways, we feel really vulnerable. We feel like, oh, we got to protect ourselves, right? That's our ego. Like we got to protect ourselves. We have to do things like, again, it's like it's really coming from that self and that ego, and we have to protect. We don't feel held at all. And so if you're into this higher consciousness, if you practice things like deep breathing, meditation, if you practice things like, forest bathing, like going out in the forest and just like sitting against a tree and breathing that in, if you practice things like that, it could help you with this practice of getting into a higher consciousness, like getting into that witnessing state, so that you calm your nervous system, and it will feel that. You will definitely feel a difference if you do that. And anybody could do it. Anybody could start to, and one thing, if you want to get started, if you're like, how do I get started? If you want to get started, try to just be a witness of yourself. So thanks, Kurt. So try to give yourself a little bit of space to be like follow yourself around, even if it's something mundane like eating. Be like, okay, I'm getting food. I'm picking this really good food for my body, and I'm going to sit and say a gratitude prayer before I eat the food. And then so you're observing yourself in the things that you're doing. Just try it. Just try it with something today, like right after you finish this talk. Just try to do something like that where you're just observing yourself and see what happens to your body. Like, especially if you're feeling anxious, or especially if you're feeling really stressed, see what happens to your body when you come into this state of just observing yourself. Because if you are anxious, like I wrote a lot of books on anxiety, they put that in the comments too. If you are in that stressed state and you begin to even be a witness of that fear, you have less fear of the fear. when you're just witnessing the fear, right? You have less fear of the fear because you're like, okay, I feel that in my body. Yeah, I feel that adrenaline. And you have, it immediately changes our relationship because now we're in the mammalian brain, right? The reptilian brain's that fear, fight or flight. If we come into that mammalian brain, then the prefrontal cortex, the neocortex, whatever you want to say, like this is our processing part of the brain. This is where we process the trauma. A lot of people are wonder what that means. Like, what does it mean to process trauma? And trauma gets like stuck in that middle brain or in that reptilian brain, and we're reliving it in our stressful moments, right? We're triggered and it seems like it's again. That's because that is the present tense in there. And so what we have to do is when we're in the witnessing state, we could take stuff in a story. We understand what it means. A lot of times when we experience something hard, we want to know what it means. But we do all this work to try to like grab at the meaning instead of just opening up, being a witness and letting it come. So if we're in the higher consciousness, the meaning gets created for us. When we're in that distance, the meaning gets created. But when we're chasing the meaning, we are suffering because we're like, I got to figure this out. I got to figure this out. There's a lot of attachment there. There's a lot of negative self-judgment there. And that totally distracts us from being able to rise above it. Like I don't mean rise above it, like take the higher road. I mean, rise above it, meaning like come above or come at a distance, zoom out. One of my clients said zoom out. And I feel like that really is a helpful way to think about it. When we're in our higher consciousness, we're zooming out. And when we're zooming out, again, we have so much compassion for ourselves and so much compassion for others. It really changes our relationship with the event. It changes our relationship with other people. It changes our relationship with ourselves. And then what we do next and how we go forward. And it's not a state that you're imagining that you're in all the time. It's like we would go in and out of that state. But when you're in a state of higher consciousness, you feel more connected, like you are in connection with the energy field. I don't know what quite to call it, around you. Like you're connected. You're connected, like you're connected to the animals and the plants and like this life. Usually when we're in this lower state of consciousness and we're so worried and feeling vulnerable, we feel like we're alone. We feel really separate from everything else in the world. And when we're in the higher consciousness, you feel this connection to all of it. Like you are part of it instead of separate from it. And that makes a huge difference in like how we feel about ourselves or how happy we are. And you might be like, oh, okay, but that doesn't count for someone who's depressed, or that doesn't count for somebody who's anxious. And it absolutely does, actually. It really does make a difference to it really does make a difference, because when we are sad or anxious, there's stories that keep replaying in our head over and over again that keep us stuck there, right? And a lot of us, there's a lot of even like mental health discourse that's like some people are depressed and some people are not depressed. That's really not how it is. There's all kinds of levels of sadness that people feel, but the meaning that we make around it makes a huge difference in how we get better, if we get better, or when we get better, and all that good stuff. All right. So I'm going to just check out some of these comments here. So feel free to ask some questions. If I didn't clarify anything, so feel free to ask some questions or send some love or tell me what's on your mind so I could address it. So I'm going to read some of these. I know it's boring when you see me reading, but I'm so happy that you wrote something to me, and of course I want to respond. So you have, I'm sure you have a lot to talk about. Anthony, go live on your channel, Anthony, and talk about it. This is so great because we do have these soapboxes wherever you are, you could speak out, and it might really touch some people's hearts. So I encourage you, Anthony, go live on your channel and talk about it. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Marcel. Thank you. Okay. So Sharon says, please make it in written. Oh, you want to read? Oh, like what we're talking about today? I don't think that will happen, but I'm dyslexic, so it would take me like this talking to you for 15 minutes would take me like 5 hours to write it, and I can't do it, but love you. All right, so consciousness of words is my thing. Yeah, words. Yeah, sure. Words can open up new kind. Words are dual also. So words could also take you. Words cannot take you into negative. Words could take you into stuckness. Words could open you right up. I mean, words could do a lot of things, but we can't really say it's one thing. Hey, Agnes. Hey, Levy. Okay, so humans need to step back from all the noise. Yeah, come into my manner. We step back from the noise and we step in your cave. Okay. Kurt. Thanks, Kurt. I already said thanks. Is it possible to reach a Howard state? Now, Kurt, did I answer that question? Because I know that you wrote that in the beginning. Is it possible? Because I did answer that it is possible. So, hi from India. Yeah. All right. So I don't see any questions for me. Does anyone have any questions for me while I was reading that? I was hoping some people would type some stuff and ask me some things. You could hear my stomach growling. I'm ready for lunch, early lunch. Yeah. Let's summarize. It could happen to everybody. Anybody could achieve this. Okay. Vanisha is saying, what is difference between subconsciousness, unconsciousness, and higher consciousness? Well, there's all kinds of levels. It's like a continuum if you think about it, right? So so think about it more as a continuum. So unconscious might mean there's things that there's a lot on our mind, right? Memories, things that we used to know, whatever, right? There's tons of stuff on our mind, but it's not present open in our mind right now. Like we don't have access to all of it in the moment. We'd be overwhelmed. So a lot of it lives in our subconsciousness. Some of it's negative, some of it's great, some of it's benign. But unconsciousness means that it's just not it's not in your awareness in this present moment. Right? So subconscious means that it's below consciousness because you don't have access to it right now. It may be good, it may be bad, it may be some stuff from history. Some of it you don't have to worry about. So that's subconscious. Below, just sub means below consciousness, and consciousness is what we see and are aware of right now. So unconscious and subconscious are pretty similar. Subconscious means under consciousness, and unconscious means like it's just a phrase to say you're not conscious of doing, like you did something, but you weren't conscious of it, right? You didn't realize it until afterwards or something like that. So it's a term that we use to say I was unconscious of that happening, like I didn't know about it, right? So think about it in terminology. So, and then higher conscious, and then there's like lower states of consciousness. So we're conscious, we're going through our day and cooking and everything, but it's just consciousness, right? We're like that biological memory that Russell Mears talks about. Biological memory is just regular. And then there's higher consciousness, and there's of course different steps of higher consciousness. But there's higher consciousness when we become more of an observer of ourselves. Like we're like outside the mind a little bit, or in metacognition, observing ourselves. And in that state, we don't have that. We're not as hooked to that reptilian mind that's really run by fear. And that higher consciousness from that state, there's a lot of compassion, ability to feel more compassion, because you're held. Because you don't feel as vulnerable, so you don't feel as afraid, and so you feel more held and more open, more full of love. That would be a higher consciousness states, and of course you could get more and more states till you feel like I'm not even a body anymore, and I'm just out here really connected. Like those tree is me, and I'm the tree. You know, I'm looking out my window. You can't see the tree, so I hope that really helped. Benshika, did I say it right? I love that question. Okay, I don't see anything else. So wonderful. Yeah. So now you all feel like you have something that you could do Take some deep breaths, go right low into your belly, take some really deep breaths. My website, is jodiaman.com. And I do have a reset. I'm trying to think of I do have a meditation, but I'm trying to think of I'm going to give you I think it's, keep asking questions for a sec. Asking questions for a second. I just want to make sure oh, good. I'm so glad that I helped you see that. Let's see. I think if I wanted to try to post your thing, but I don't think I can. Okay. So if you go to jodiaman.com, if Mind Journal can put this on there, jodiaman.com, I want to give you a free gift, is that what I'm going to tell you. If you go to jodiaman.com/empath, jodiaman.com/empath, and there is an energy shield training. So there is a meditation for you that's going to calm your nervous system, but it also it's a little bit of a training of like how to, because right now there's a lot of, negative energy out there. And this is a training how to really help, block that out to keep yourself doing good and feeling good. Thanks, Mind Journal. Okay, let me look at Justin here. Higher consciousness, just want to understand it better. Like you said, observing people thank you. Observing people from above on a hill, seeing the big picture sort of thing. Yeah, absolutely. That is a way to start, right? That's a way to start. And you'll notice a difference because you'll be starting to, when you're in that state of witnessing state, that's what's called higher consciousness, because you have more awareness of other things, because you're kind of not stuck just blinded by your own emotions. You have awareness of what's going on with other people, what's going on in the situation. Like you kind of grok the whole thing in a little different way. And from that position of having that more expanded understanding, that's it, higher consciousness, right? Expanded understanding. And from that expanded understanding, a lot of times people drop more fear, drop more bad feelings, have a lot more compassion, and then it gets developed, right? So you could get there faster, to relieve yourself faster. So, but I want you to just start practicing by observing, like I said, I don't know if you were here in the beginning, but like I said, like if you had, if you're eating, like observe yourself. So it's nice to practice these things when something's positive is happening, because a lot of times we're like, try to do that when we're in a difficulty. But if you practice the state of higher consciousness, other times when you're feeling okay, then it'll be right there when you need it. So, so I think I answered your question too, Vanshika. I think I answered your question as well as a couple different ways to practice. One is when you're eating, just observing yourself and begin to practice doing that. Begin to notice. Even when you go through your day, like say you're just getting dressed and you're not really thinking, you're like in this regular state of consciousness, right? And you're like, oh yeah, I'm getting dressed. Like just stop for a moment, take a breath, and just be present with the present moment. And that'll lift you out of it just a little bit into observer role. Practice doing that during the day, and this will really help you in other times. Okay, I hope everyone got a lot out of this, and you're going to practice these things. You could get my my energy shield training, which is lovely, and I think there's like a hand meditation in there that really helps you. Even if you're just like doing this hand meditation that I have free for you with the empath training, that hand meditation is an observing meditation, right? It's mindfulness, because we're like, you touch your hands together and you're observing the feeling of yourself touching your hands, right? And that mindfulness and that meditation is going to do the exact same thing as that we're talking about. Just observing self. I need it so much. I understand what you're saying. Thank you. No practice. Thanks, Justin. I think that I think you'll get a real lot out of it. And lastly here, Vanshika is saying, I'm a single parent. I'm currently going through a divorce. Yeah. Oh. It's so painful, divorce. I've become very negative and overthinking and a lot of anxieties. Get my book. I have a book called You Want It. I usually have it in the background, but I had to move because of the Wi-Fi. But I have a book and it's on there. Mind Journal gave a list of my books. There you go. So jodiaman.com/books. So I have a book, You Want Anxiety Zero. And my updated books for teens, but all ages are reading it actually. So Anxiety, I'm So Done With You. Especially because I've been working with people who've experienced trauma for so long. There's a lot of like anxiety doesn't come out of the blue. It comes out of a context. So I address it in the context of difficult situations. So it'll be perfect for you going through your divorce to try to help. And plus come over to my YouTube channel because I have tons and tons of stuff for you that will help you regulate yourself. But definitely use this practice that I talked about in this video because it is going to get you through it. It is going to absolutely get you through it more grounded, feeling more whole than you would if you weren't like trying to keep observing yourself. And because you need that compassion for yourself right now. And this is going to help you have a lot of abundant compassion for yourself. Because when you're going through divorce, like just love yourself so much. You need it. And that'll help you get through. People get through it. So I know people get through it and I know you can too. So I've really loved spending this time with you all. Thank you for your patience because we were late getting started. But anyway, you know where to find me. I'm on live on my channel, my Facebook page every Monday at 11. And I'd love you if you show up there too. Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.